Podcast time, baby. Featuring Sara Berkholtz, part 2. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. This is Michael Midnight. Sorry about that. I'm just trying to move all the notes around that I had from our last conversation with Sara Berkholtz in our part 1 of this series, Placing Talent. She had a lot of great notes about resumes, what to put, what not to have in your cover letter, and just really trying to make the best possible pitch possible as a candidate. And there's just so many good notes. So that was our part 1. I'm ready for the part 2. Okay. All right, here we go. Eye the tiger. Eye the tiger. Okay. Is their motto, is their company message, and the way that they treat not only their customers, but their coworkers and their employees, is it the same way?
Well, and I think the term company culture has become a marketing tool more than anything else.
Yes, it has.
And with any marketing tool, does the marketing match the reality? Not in all cases.
Really not. No.
Yeah. There are always going to be outliers to the reality compared to the marketing. So I really try to avoid getting into, their company culture is great. Whenever I'm talking to a candidate, I use terms that they'll understand rather than just saying a great company culture. So if I'm working with a company that I know that they have a quiet working environment, very quiet office space, and they are a very buttoned up environment, that's what I'll tell them about the environment. What's great for one person might not necessarily be deemed great for someone else. But in terms of companies trying to embrace change to make their workplaces better suited to employees, I think that there's actually been a lot of advancement in terms of changing the reality because we are in such a candidate-driven market. Unemployment is very, very low. We don't have a lot of active talent on the market, and positions with the advent of technology continue to become more niche. As positions become more specialized, they need more specialized talent.
True. Well, I mean, the saying goes, you get what you pay for, and if the narrative is going to match what it is that you're doing, then...
Absolutely. I do enjoy that a lot of the marketing campaigns with companies are starting to revolve more around people. So you see YouTube videos of their staff members talking about their experience working there, and you see photos and Instagram pages where people can really get a taste of how people interact with each other. I think that's valuable.
But it is an investment. And I actually mentioned this in a previous podcast where it's like a relationship. If you're getting the same results in a relationship, and the same thing goes without saying for a job, it is you're married to it. I mean, we have we have our work family, so that is essentially where you spend anywhere from 65 to sometimes 90% of your day-to-day hours and operations. I would work in the office for 12 to 14 hours a day. I would head out and I would get back home at maybe 7, 8 o'clock at night, try to scarf something to eat, maybe close my eyes for an hour or two. We'd have new development features that would be worked on. The developers are not in the same time zone. So my 11 o'clock at night was their 8:30 in the morning. So essentially you're up and going at all hours of the day and night. And if there's something that breaks, again, it doesn't matter, night, weekend, holiday, you get that phone call. And it just ends up being, it would really help if, as you're saying, people are a little more vocal about what their work experience is and saying, hey, this is where I work. Hey, this is the people that are there. And it just makes you feel that much more comfortable. If you're buying a house, you look it up on Google Maps. You want to see, hey, what do the houses look like next door? What's the neighborhood that it's in? With that being said, sometimes not everything does work out for the candidates that you work with and that you do talk to. How do you keep in touch or follow up or sort of just work with candidates that may not have been a good fit?
In terms of staying in touch with candidates, I always encourage candidates to have an open line of communication going both ways. So I never want a candidate to feel like I tell them, call me too. If anything changes with the parameters of your search, what you're wanting and your goals are, I probably interview between 15 to 20 people in any given week. Not all of them will get hired, unfortunately. I'll connect with them on LinkedIn. I'll ask them to stay in touch with me as well. I'll shoot out emails to check in, see how things are going. A recruiter can only do so much though. You can never entrust any one person, no matter how good of a recruiter they are, with 100% of your search effort. You can't have that be the expectation. You will always be setting yourself up for disappointment if you do that. That's the approach that I take. And I'm sure that there are always ways that I could be doing things better. And that's why I asked for feedback pretty consistently from my candidates so I can continue to grow as a professional in the recruitment industry as well.
Nobody's going to know you any better than you. And sometimes you may change your mind. You may decide and wake up, hey, you know what, I want to change industries, or maybe I just want to be part-time or contractual instead. Things change. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's just good to let people know that, hey, I'm listening to you and I hear you. I appreciate what you do and I appreciate you. What I like to actually follow up with and usually end the podcast with, Sarah, is everybody's favorite topic, recruiting horror stories. So also what I like to do is I like to end on a good note. So a horror story and then an awesome story if you do have.
Sure. So a horror story over a year ago. I remember the timing because it was just 2 weeks after the inauguration in 2017. And I got this call and this man, he started yelling in my ear. He was like, "Hello, can you find me a job?" And I said, "I'm sorry, sir, but why are you yelling at me? I'm in the metro station and I need you to find me a job." I don't know how specifically I can help you. He's like, "This is all because of Donald Trump. He's the reason why I can't find the job. I've been unemployed for 2 years." And at this point, I'm just interested, like, how did
Pray tell.
I was like, "Sir, I'm so sorry you're experiencing that. How do you know Donald Trump?" He goes, "I don't. Why would I know Donald Trump? I never worked for him. He's just keeping me from getting a job." I'm like, oh my goodness. I don't know how to respond to this. I was like, "Listen, sir, I hope that you have a lot of success in your career search. I'd recommend, not calling recruiters while you're in the metro station." And I gave him a little bit of advice and wish him well, but I was like, you can't blame people who you don't even know, never worked for your misfortunes in life. But I'll never forget that. "Hello, get me a job," like yelling at me from a metro platform.
Yeah, that's the best place to pitch. Well, I think he was confusing it with maybe some of the homeless people. I mean, they have really good marketing pitches. If you've ever been in the New York City subway, "Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm begging and I just need $1. And what we really need to do is we really need to harness what it is that people feel when they see those people, because immediately you know what they're asking for, you know who they are, and you immediately move away. So, I mean, it's a effective marketing campaign, if you will. It's very cheap. Either that or when, "Hey, everybody, it's showtime," and then you have people almost kicking you in the face on the subway. That's always fun. But I don't think it's the best time to be pitching your candidacy for employment in the metro station. It's not.
Right, exactly.
Probably not great. So
that's politics in the first conversation and blaming people that you don't know. It's just not a good vibe to be sending out in your first conversation. So if I have to give any small piece of advice to any candidates listening, please don't call recruiters from the metro platform and yell at them.
Well, I mean, if you do, tell a good joke or something. I mean,
right.
Good Lord.
I think one of my very favorite stories is a few years ago, I was working in our office services placement division. I was introduced to an executive assistant and she was struggling for about 10 months unemployed. And, she had supported VPs at some very prominent companies. So she had impeccable references, and what was keeping her from getting interviews though was her resume. So I helped her fix her resume and suddenly we're getting her interviews. So she went on a couple interviews and, I would get feedback from hiring managers, "Oh, she's not fit," but wouldn't tell me why. And then I brought her in and I'm like, "Listen, before your next interview, let's work on your interview skills a little bit." And I came to realize she had extreme anxiety meeting strangers. That was really what was keeping her back from succeeding in an interview. Eventually, though, I got a call from a client that works at a multi-billion-dollar defense contractor. And he said, "Sarah, I'm in a bind. I need your help. Send me over someone to start tomorrow to cover our front desk for 2 weeks. That's all we need. Our receptionist is out. Can you help us out?" I said, "Sure." let me call this executive assistant. She mentioned to me, I don't care what the pay rate is. I just need something. I need to feed my kids. I need to keep a roof over our heads. I gave her a call and I said, listen, this pay rate is like a third of what you're accustomed to making, but what you want it, there's no interview involved. She took it and she started and they loved her. They kept her on for 3 months and then she became a permanent employee. And then she got promoted to be executive assistant for a senior VP. And she got like a 60% pay increase. It was awesome. Took a leap of faith, taking a very short contract. And a lot of people who are unemployed, they don't want to take short contracts because variety of factors. They don't want to be in a situation where in 2 weeks they're applying for other jobs again. But you never know what will happen when you get your foot in the door. I had worked with that candidate for so long. You know, my heart was really into getting her a job. I really wanted to see her succeed. I'm happy to say that she's still working at that company and she's loving it there.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about, being the mom figure. You're just talking about, it's like, my baby's all grown up. I'm proud of her. You can find Sara on LinkedIn and on Twitter, again, at Ask Sara B, and on her website, saraberkholtz.com. I appreciate you sharing that story with us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me on again.
Not a problem. Have your own recruiter candidate story that you want to share with us? If you're listening on YouTube, comment below. If you're listening on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, or your podcast app of choice, feel free to email your experience to go@miketech.tv. You can also find our full conversation of this episode on YouTube at youtube.com/MikeTech Studios. That's MIKTEK Studios. Thanks for checking out this episode, and feel free to like, subscribe, and share our content. And until next time, this is Michael Midnight signing off. Thanks again for checking in.